Hello and welcome to Foutre's League of Legends LP. Today I'm going to be talking about the Season 4 changes. I sort of forgot to before and haven't gotten to it yet. So here we are. Hopefully this won't be too confused, but we'll see. Alright, so let's talk through it. There's three categories of things that they've changed for Season 4. Remember, every season is a year, so this is the fourth year of League of Legends, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing they want... So I'm going to cover the first roadmap out the three basic parts, then go through them one by one, and demonstrate them in game, assuming I get enough gold from this jungling business. So first they wanted to stop snowballing. Basically, in Season 3, when one team got the lead, then they would usually keep it and eventually win. They didn't want that to be the case. They wanted it to be, better chance of a comeback, so it didn't feel like games were decided incredibly early. Second, they wanted to revamp supports. They wanted to make, I think, some more supports viable. Make supports, especially make supports so they weren't just a walking sightstone, and make support itemization more exciting. Last off, they redid the jungle. They standardized it somewhat, and they made it. I think they made it so that more junglers were viable. They made some cool. There's some cool jungle things. And then I guess sort of as a semi-fourth one, I guess I was lumping this under snowballing, but really it could be its own thing. They redid Vision as well, because they felt like Vision was too much the support's task. It was encouraging snowballing too much, etc., etc. So let's put the lock camera. So basically, with the let's talk about snowballing. So the biggest change that they made to discourage snowballing. Well, it's difficult to say. I guess first let's talk about something that was specifically to discourage snowballing, which is the changes to the way that people get gold. So if you kill someone again and again and again, and they don't get any kills or assists in the interim, so they're just behind and they're getting further behind, you get less and less gold each time it happens. And actually, they did nerf that somewhat, so it's slightly... it's slightly reduced from what it was before, or slightly increased, I guess, because there's a strategy where people would take Singed, who's this character who throws out poison trails, and rather than going here in lane, they would go like here or in the base in lane. And basically, Singed is hard to catch, so you waste enemies' time, you die a lot, but because there's this diminishing return, there was this diminishing returns, like pretty remarkable diminishing returns on killing shit. It was okay, and it was definitely worth it. So it's not quite the same as it was in the season began because of that strategy, but it's still pretty significant. Also, I think they maybe threw increased shutdown gold, which means like when you kill someone who's been killing you a lot, you'll get a little bit of extra gold. And they made objectives that are they made First Blood worth a little bit less. They made objectives like Dragon that are taken really early worth less, and generally, just made it so that it's a little easier to come back if you fall behind early. So that's the first part. And the second part has to do with Vision and how it was functioning in the mid-late game. So basically, in Season 3, once you got an advantage, you would throw down just a fucking ton of wards, absolutely everywhere. And then you throw down pink wards to deny vision to your opponents. You get Oracle's elixirs, that was a huge part. That would last until you died, and of course if you were ahead, the odds of you dying were much, much lower, so you could just keep your Oracles forever. So they changed that. First they made it so that there's a limit of 3 wards per player, which means that it's not like the support just has to do all the warding, and also there's there's an upper limit to the number of wards that can be on the map, especially once you get to the point where people have like a lot of don't have much space in their inventory, so not everyone can buy wards and blah 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 blah. Then they also added trinkets. So, for example, I have one here, a warding trinket. You see there, it's places a small ward down that lasts for less time than a regular ward, but it's absolutely free. You get it at the start of the game when you spawn. So there's three trinkets. There's the warding totem, which drops a short little ward and can turn into either a greater stealth totem that's a long ward, or a greater vision totem that basically gives you a free pink ward. Then there's the sweeping lens that I'll actually I'll buy so you can see it later. That lets you detect invisible traps, invisible wards, and clear them out, which is good for like clearing out gank paths or establishing brush control in bottom lane. And there's the scrying orb, which is essentially a minor CD. And sweeping lens gives you basically the version of oracles now, which is the oracle's lens that gives you a brief little detection over your head for some time. Okay, so those are the trinkets that people can get, and they have definitely changed the way that people do vision pretty significantly. It means that supports, for example, don't necessarily have to start with wards anymore, or the all-consumable start that was popular towards the end of Season 3 is no longer a thing. Instead, they can buy items. So that's basically the snowballing and vision changes, which leads nicely into, speaking of supports buying items, they did change the way that supports work. So first what they did was they changed the way that supports scale. They made it so that your utility, like the shit you get back for, sorry, what the fuck am I saying? Like speed boost from Lulu, or like a, well, maybe I can't do this. No, I totally can. Maybe I can't. Fuck, I'm scared. Come on, baby. Do it. Oh, you can't solo at level 5. Surprise, surprise. So they made it so that, which is good, so I just go back to the shop anyway. So the utility scale, so you get like more of a movement speed boost. If you have more AP, you get more of a shield, that kind of thing. So to incentivize supports buying AP, then second, in order to get them the money they need to buy AP and not just buy sightstones or whatever, they made some new support items. So there's the Ancient Coin, the Relic Shield, and Spell Thief's Edge. They go sort of from lowest risk, lowest reward, to highest risk, highest reward, and each of them evolves into a separate special advanced item, all of which are pretty strong. So first is the Ancient Coin, which gives you the gold whenever a minion dies nearby and some mana regen, which is basically, like no matter what, if you're sitting in lane and your AD is getting minion kills, or not getting minion kills, as the case may be, and the CS is just dying, then you can get gold. So it's very low risk, but you don't get as much gold for it. And it turns into the Talisman of Ascension, which is, I think, the strongest of the upgraded gold items, which gives your entire team a speed boost, which is good for disengaging, engaging, and just overall, very powerful. And the most popular, because that lets you initiate team fights and what have you. And have a big, it's like they're basically Shirelli's referee, have a big impact. Then the Relic Shield turns into, so the Relic Shield, basically whenever you kill a minion, or every once in a while, it has a couple of charges. Whenever you kill a minion and have a charge up, then you heal yourself and your allied champion, your lane partner, and give them gold. As you upgrade it, it begins to get charges more quickly. And if you're a melee character, it executes it below 200 health, which means it's easier to push for that early level 2 in bot lane, which gives you an advantage as well. So that's less popular. It does give you more gold if you can keep proccing it throughout the game, which is actually hard to do because at a certain point people just kill minions so quickly that you can't execute it. But if you do keep getting it, it gives you more gold in the Ancient Coin. And ultimately, but obviously it's riskier because you have to go walk up in CS. And ultimately it will give you the Face of the Mountain, which makes a shield around a allied champion that then explodes and gives you some cooldown. So pretty strong. If you need to protect someone from getting burst, but because it's not as useful as Talisman Ascension, it doesn't get built that often, and because it's kind of riskier and you don't get as much gold as you theoretically would because people just don't respect the fact that you have it and kill shit anyway. Last off, there's Spell Thief's Edge, which gives you extra damage, and whenever you hit someone with an ability or spell, auto attack, as abilities and spells are the same thing, and perhaps not all abilities are spells. When you hit someone with an auto attack, then you deal some extra damage and get some extra gold, and that ultimately turns into Frost Queen's Claim, which has an active where you can shoot out a skill shot that slows. So basically, like, Ancient Coin is kind of the general, like, anyone can get it, kind of good on all characters item. Relic Shield is the, like, I'm tanky, I want to get big, get health. And Spell Thief's Edge is like, I'm an AP mage. And, I want to get picks. So, Ancient Coin, however, is picked on almost all characters because even though it gives you less gold, the utility in team fights is just so great that, especially in competitive scenarios, it's really good. I personally think that Spell Thief's Edge is actually better in solo queue because it gives you, like, I found, like, usually at least 1,000 gold by 20 minutes or 25 minutes if you're getting proper harass down. But ultimately, a lot of the times, it depends. Relic Shield isn't actually built that often because, as I said before, you can't necessarily actually get the minion kills, the CS, after a certain point in the game, which is always kind of sad. And it doesn't give you as much gold. But, hey. So, the point of all this is that these 3 items mean that supports get more gold than they did before. Also, because of the vision changes and the fact that supports can only ward so much, and the reduction in price of Sightstone to 800 from 875 or whatever it was, 850, this means that supports get more gold and can buy more shit. So you're going to see, like, a lot more, Randuin's Omens early, or even like Death Caps or Zanyas on supports because they want that AP to start scaling. Whereas in Season 2, you would rarely see that. If you did, people would be accused you of trolling or whatever. Because it just wasn't that strong. So anyway, I think that's great. Supports are definitely more viable. And this has opened up more supports. Like, Annie was really popular in preseason, and she got nerfed a little bit as a support, but she's still pretty big. Thresh and Leona are still popular because they're so strong. But part of the reason I think that Leona has gotten more popular is because now with the new amount of gold she can get, she just gets so fucking tanky. It's absurd. But even things like LeBlanc support or Morgana support, especially with Spell Thief's Edge, the harass item, have become very strong. Although Morgana support also is partially because she has Black Shield, which she can block CC. Either way, so supports have become more relevant. They're no longer just little sightstone bitches, for lack of a better term. Not for lack of a better term, just because I chose to use that term, despite the fact that it's terrible. It's been pretty good. So, more valuable supports, stronger supports, yay. Now, finally, we come to the jungle changes. So, as you may have noticed, I bought this item, and the one before it, the machete, that did not exist in Season 3. So they decided to standardize jungle item paths and make them a little bit stronger, so they give you more gold. So first off, everyone generally starts out with Hunter's Machete, which gives you extra damage against monsters, lets you heal health, and so on and so forth, and then 5 pots, which is different than Season 3, where you definitely saw a lot more variety in what people would buy. So that gets turned into Spirit Stone, which I just had, which lets you deal bonus damage to monsters, restore health and mana, etc., etc., which gives you a lot more sustain in the jungle and means people like Amumu, for example, the little mummy, who previously were super vulnerable to getting their blue stolen and then just couldn't really clear because they needed mana. are a little less vulnerable, which sort of opened up the viability of like junglers who normally would just get shat all over by the enemy, and made AP junglers a little more legit. And then finally, there's these three items that Spirit Stone builds out of. First, Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. That's the AP item. All of them give CDR, by the way. That gives you permanent ability power growth for killing large monsters, which is great. It can give you up to 80 ability power. Then there's Ancient Golem. That's the tanking item that gives you tenacity, gives you health. And finally, Spirit of the Elder Lizard, that gives you attack damage and, of course, CDR as well. And some damage over time of true damage. Whenever you deal physical damage, which is great. And then, last off, all of them have this passive called Conservation, which basically, whenever you kill a minion or monster, a large minion or a large monster, you get 40 conservation stacks used up, which gives you extra gold. So basically, it gives you like an extra gold every second, kind of, if you're clearing properly and keeping the conservation, below 80, so it doesn't top out rather, which has made junglers, I think, stronger. Or at least you gotta hope it makes junglers stronger. All right, so here's round 2 with the dragon, by the way. Hopefully we'll win this time. And we'll see if that's actually. Oh my god, am I gonna lose? No, we're gonna win. Okay. Mostly because I have the Spirit of the Ancient Wraith or whatever it's called. Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. So we've seen, I think, a little more variation in junglers, and because of the vision changes, people tend to rely actually on trinkets almost too much. So rather than, so they'll just like say, place like a trinket ward here rather than a normal ward. Hold on, I just placed a normal ward. And then you can get that 3-minute 10 gank off. They also changed the smite so that it's a lower cooldown and is just all in all better. So you can smite blue buff, do 1 camp, then take red, get level 3 really quickly, which is definitely stronger than it was before. So it's made 3-minute ganks really common. It's made level 2 ganks much less common because since everyone has a pretty standard jungle path, they will counter jungle you if you decide to do a level 2 gank, especially if you do it on top, which has sort of changed the dynamic of lane somewhat. Yeah, and all in all, I think it's been pretty good for the game though. It's added definitely another layer of strategy, like which trinket do you choose, when do you swap out your trinkets, like for like sweeping lenses or scrying orbs later in the game, and that kind of thing. So yeah, pretty cool. Alright, so just to recap briefly, basically, although I said there were 3, there's actually 4 different things that have changed, although they're all sort of interlinked. First, see look, Pink Wards last forever, amazing. Amazing! And you only have 1. So, let's just show off the sweeper as well. Okay, so first there are changes to snowballing. There's less gold. You get less gold each time you kill someone successively, and there's shutdown gold. Objectives give less gold earlier in the game, that kind of thing. So they're trying to reduce snowballing, which is, I think, been semi-successful at least. I wouldn't say it's been absolutely a success, but it's okay. And then they have there we go. Just champion. So they reduced snowballing somewhat, and as part of that, remember also there's vision control has been changed, and vision has been changed, so it's less easy to establish that absurd vision control, which remember means that once a team gets ahead, it's more difficult for them to stay ahead because people can actually get out on the map more easily. So that's the second thing, vision control. Then, I guess I'm playing proxy, proxy Nunu. So it gives you more vision control. And then last off, they did the support and jungle changes. So they gave supports better scaling and more AP different items, and they gave jungle more gold and different items, both of which made both roles more contested and stronger. So that's about it for season 4. I think that I don't know if there's other things, they'll come up in later videos, but hopefully that gives you a basic idea of like what's changed between like these videos that I'm releasing now and the game now versus the game in season 3. I think in a future episode I'll release a video talking about the meta and that kind of thing. But for now, I think that's a decent overview of the Season 4 changes. So, thanks a lot for watching. I'm going to send you off with some new bot laughs. Yeah, let's just turn up the volume on this shit. This skin has amazing laughs. If we can get him.
I will surprise them with my decision.
Wait, why isn't that letting me laugh?
Now watch.
Fuck, well, we're done. I won't give you any Yeti bot laughs, my apologies. So that's season 4. Hopefully that was informative. And just keep that in mind as we see future videos. The concepts will definitely come up. Alright, thanks a lot. Have a good one.